Thank you so much to vocalist Malicia and Trey Clegg on organ. I'm Adi McKenzie, the curator of Works on Paper here at the Carlos Museum, actually across the quad. I'm a curator of Charmaine Minnifield's Indigo Prayers. Before I had the privilege of working with Charmaine on Indigo Prayers, I would like to introduce our performers and artists. Sorry, I just ran across the quad. I would like to read Emory's land acknowledgement. Emory University acknowledges the Muskogee Creek people who lived, worked, produced knowledge on, and nurtured the land where Emory's Oxford and Atlanta campuses are now located. In 1821, 15 years before Emory's founding, the Muskogee were first forced to relinquish this land. We recognize the sustained oppression, land dispossession, and involuntary removals of the Muskogee and Cherokee peoples from Georgia and the Southeast. Emory seeks to honor the Muskogee Nation and other indigenous caretakers of this land by humbly seeking knowledge of their histories and committing to respectful stewardship of the land. And now to introduce Malicia Jessie Taylor. Malicia is a transdisciplinary vocal artist. Her TEDx talk entitled "What Do You See?" is part of her developing autoethnography transcending performance, exploring Black liberatory praxis in vocal arts. She is the vocal artist and composer of the music found in the Praise House Project with Charmaine Minniefield. She also self-produced Guerrilla Opera, a video project featured by Brick Arts, New York, and the San Diego Museum of Us. Malicia was the featured soprano in Fear Is Their Alibi, an electroacoustic opera on police brutality, written for soprano, bassoon, and electronics by composer Dr. Yvette Jackson. She has been a guest lecturer at Harvard University, Scripps College, and Cal Poly Pomona, and currently teaches at Clark Atlanta University and California State University, San Marcos. Malicia is the founder of Musée Salon Collaborative, a 501c3 arts services organization. Trey Clegg is the founder of the Trey Clegg Singers, a culturally mixed chorus representing the diversity and talent of Metro Atlanta. Themes of reconciliation, equity, and healing guide his work, and an ambitious desire to perform music across diverse genres. Trey is the organist director of choirs at First Congregational Church of Atlanta, United Church of Christ, founder and music director at the Trey Clegg Singers, and Bass One section at Atlanta Symphony Orchestra Chorus. And before I introduce our artist, Charmaine, I would like to thank those here at Emory who made this exhibition possible and demonstrated incredible commitment throughout the Carlos's, period of transition. I'd like to recognize Dr. Candy Tate, who is here. Dr. Tate took on the Herculean task of shepherding the Praise House Project in Pelham McDaniel's stead. Also, Associate Vice Provost Krista Akampora for being a champion for Charmaine's work. I also want to thank the incredible Carlos staff and want to recognize our amazing conservator, Renee Stein, who I'm not sure is here today or not. She should still be recognized for her dedication to this project. We called upon Renee to help devise a method of display that would allow the history of the paintings and the marks of Charmaine's process to remain visible, while also ensuring the safety and stability of the service materials and textures, but I'd also make them seem like they were floating, which was no easy task. We had two interim directors during the run of this show. The first was Bonna Westcoat, who not only listened with discernment during the exhibition's development, but also heard the need. The second was Elizabeth Horner, who's also Director of Education and also holds so many jobs at the museum that they're uncountable, who has led and supported us with uncommon bravery, and along with education staff, created and developed extraordinary programming to accompany the exhibition. And Charmaine Minniefield, artist of Indigo Prayers. Charmaine is an Atlanta-based visual artist and activist. Her work is firmly rooted in womanist social theory and ancestral veneration. She draws from indigenous traditions as seen throughout Africa and the diaspora to explore African and African-American history, memory, and ritual as an intentional pushback against erasure. Her creative practice is community-based as her research and resulting bodies of work often draw from public archives. Minifield recently served as the Stuart A. Rose Library Artist in Residence here at Emory. Through a collaboration with Flux Projects, she presented her work, Remembrance as Resistance, Preserving Black Narratives in Atlanta's historically segregated cemetery to honor the over 800 unmarked graves that were discovered in the African American burial grounds. Minifield was awarded the prestigious National Endowment for the Arts Our Town Grant to present her Praise House project at 3 different locations in the metro Atlanta area to celebrate the African American history of those communities. She currently splits her time in residence between Atlanta and the Gambia, where she continues to study the origins of her cultural identity and indigenous traditions by tracing the ring shout. Her exhibition, entitled Indigo Prayers, A Creation Story, is on view through September 11th, and we at the Carlos have been so honored to host these remarkable paintings. In addition to numerous solo and group exhibitions, Charmaine has curated several exhibitions at the Auburn Avenue Research Library, and she also works as a producer, truly doing everything. Her most recent production is the Georgia Incarceration Project, an archives to performance collaboration with Spelman College and the University of Georgia in 2019. And of course, you can see her many incredible murals all over the city of Atlanta. And just before I let Charmaine take the stage, I just want to say one personal thing about my relationship with Charmaine. It's really, really hard to be a contemporary artist. It's hard to work through that vulnerability that comes with bringing a vision into existence. It's harder still to be an activist artist, to not only work through vulnerability to bring a vision forth, but to be an advocate, not only for your work, but also for the communities that you serve, and to foster change in environments where change is not always welcomed. It's hard to create spaces of transformation, of not only listening, but hearing with openness. It's hard to create and to call to action. And it is really hard to wait for those seeds that you've planted, to continue to nurture them patiently through harsh weather and setbacks, and to have the fortitude and strength that true artist activism requires to create extraordinary change. Charmaine is an inspiring human, and it's been such a joy to work with you on this show, to have had the privilege to take part of it as it came to fruition. I am so very grateful. Charmaine?
Ooh, I love that this is around. Oh. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Orly Fuqua. The last time I was in this space for a program, Dr. Philip McDaniels was reading about Frederick Douglass. Dr. Philip McDaniels. I've had the pleasure of working with greats who are now ancestors. Dr. Rudolph Byrd, David Driscoll, Ruby Doris Smith Robinson is an ancestor I lifted up in community. Ella Baker said, give the reins to the young so they can run into the storm where we were afraid. We stand on these hallowed grounds teaching the young. I invite you to call the names of your ancestors. Let them gather.
Alex Jordan.
Sadie Bell.
Bring them in.
Alex Jordan.
Keep going. Go back as far as you can remember.
Jacob Brown.
Sydney
Brown.
Robert Brown Sr.
Yeah.
Jordan. Ronaldo. Little John. The Holmes.
Amina.
The Jordan family.
The Jordan family. I love when you hear a whole family. We lifted a praise house in honor of 879 unmarked graves displaced in 1866 by the then Atlanta City Council to make room for white citizens. Into a flooded zone, they were cast and lost. We didn't find them again until 2016.
Jesus.
Generations. We couldn't call their names. We couldn't go salute them, remember their histories. We couldn't. We put a praise house there. And I was able to recall the memories of shouting like my grandmother taught me. As an act of resistance, remembering. In the face of erasure, remembering. Like the ring shout, we were remembering ourselves, right? We gathered in secret safe spaces to remember ourselves. My memories carried me through places like Penn Center. Yes. Sacred spaces. All the way to the Gambia, where I stood at Jufere, where Kunta Kinte was taken. And I saw the ring shot. I saw the mask leading me home, encoded in my identity. The messages, like freedom quotes. All I had to do was remember. Senko 5, look back to see forward. Let's remember them now. All of them, all of those names, as we architect a new day. This is our chance. This is our chance. Like our ancestors gathered in secret safe spaces, small, humble structures called praise houses, and conjured when they opened an infinite portal of possibilities. Opal Moore, Michael Adams, called it. Infinite portal of possibilities. Remembering. We conjured freedom. Remembering we did. We conjured freedom. So we call on them again to conjure a new freedom today. We do. I want to thank those who gathered in my circle of prayer as artists in community. I want to acknowledge them. And they found me spinning, and they spun with me. Malicia, Jesse Taylor. Give her a hand. on the brink of insanity, like us all, during the pandemic. I called my friend, Julie B. Johnson. As I recalled the shout through my body, she helped me frame it as embodied memory. Medicine. Medicine. Not just the hard medicine, but the good kind. Yes, the shout. Lifting us forward, embodied memory. Thank you, Julie B. Johnson. So I'm a visual artist, raised in the church, you know. Can you tell me? And my colleague in visual creation and creating is a master. She is so sensitive in sight to what it should be. She created the immersive experience that you have when you go inside of the ring chapter, inside of the praise house. When you walk in, you're surrounded by the shout. And you hear the song, Kimberly Benz, the visual artist that helped me create the visual, the master, Kimberly Benz. Our anthem was recorded at First Congregational Church, a period-specific architectural structure in downtown Atlanta, Reconstruction era. That moment of freedom, we were establishing institutions. First Congregational Church, Salah Nasa joined Malicia Jesse Taylor to make it so. We celebrate him. And then we rain that sound of freedom over the hills of Oakland Cemetery and out into the streets of downtown Atlanta. For 3 weeks straight, every 6 minutes, you heard freedom, freedom. And that sound installation was created by Santiago Perro. All of this was made possible by amazing partners and institutions. Emory University was our partner. I was an artist in residence. You heard that in my bio. I am so grateful. Dr. Cullen McDaniels made that so. And none of this would really be if there wasn't the sight and believing in me that came out of my friendship with Ann Dennington and Flux Project. So I want to thank them. So now we're going to do 3 more. And I'm hoping they'll be all over these parts. We want to make a green book of praise houses. Safe space. We're going to archive those communities, take teams of artists in, document them, collect oral histories. Dr. Candy Tate. The praise house here will have oral history component that will live at the Rose Library in the name of Pelham. So we've got work to do. And in keeping with African traditions that follow all the way through our bloods into African American spaces, honoring those who come before as they guide us forward, we are calling on our ancestors to guide us to a new freedom. What will this look like? What will this look like? Equity. Sovereignty. Abundance. Wisdom. We can harness and preserve the stories and wisdoms of our ancestors from before Our historic preservation sits inside of wisdom. These are the prayers of Indigo Prayers. Abundance, wisdom, freedom, love, infinite, eternally, peace. Faith was the foundation of my upbringing. That was instilled in me by my ancestors, my great-grandmother, Orly. She taught me how to pray. She taught me how to shout. She was the one who instilled in me the ethics that I am. Many of us, right? It was in faith spaces. So thank you so much for joining us in this safe space. This faith space.
Yes.
To conjure a whole new freedom. My schedule's over here. Video. You're going to see what we created in prayer before when I'm coming in a performance. Enjoy.
Iba. Ogumila. Enemy. Iba. Special Dara. Baba Keke. Alakbaku. Iba Egbe. Musi, Musi. Iba. Yeye. Iba Baba. Iba Yagba. Iba. Macintosh Tom. Iba, Baba, Shango, Delhi, Abu. Iba Yo. Iba. Yamanja. Iba, Egungun, Kinkin, Iba, Iba, Iba. Somebody's calling my name. Della Jackson. Susie Corsi Sullivan. Robert Sullivan. Carrie Lewis. Lois Williams. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do?
Good afternoon, everyone. Amen. Ashe. Salam. Shalom. I am Dr. Rachanice Candy Tate, Senior Coordinator for Programs at Emory Arts. In partnership with Atlanta artist, activist Charmaine Minniefield, and in support of Town Grant, Emory Arts will present Praise House Project, Standing on Hallowed Grounds. The Praise House Project, they place site-specific art installation in locations throughout and around the Atlanta area, uplifting African American history, as we've heard, of each of those communities, and in conjunction with our shared American history. Praise houses will be installed at Flat Rock in Stonecrest, DeKalb County, opening February 2023, Black History Month. The Praise House will go to Southview Cemetery in South Atlanta, historic Brownsville, where sites of the 1906 Atlanta Race Massacre occurred. On Juneteenth, 2023. Then it will come here to Emory University, next to Glenn Memorial Church, right by North Decatur Road, for an engaging fall 2023 exploration, so a year from now. The Praise House Project is presented by Emory University in collaboration with the Carlos Museum and the Stuart A. Rose Library. We've heard so many speak of Pella McDaniels, but Dr. Clint Pluker is now the curator of African American programs. Many cultural guides have led us all here today, and they are seeing us into the future. I want to take a moment to thank my mother, Dr. Theopia Johnson Tate. You raise your hand. And the late Dr. Gerald L. Tate Jr. for sending me to Emory University. It was their love of the arts and here where it was all solidified. And the Tate Room at the Carlos Museum honors my family's commitment to art education. I want to especially lift up the late Dr. Pella McDaniels III, another Emory alum and curator of the African American collections at the Rose Library, who guided Charmaine and I on this Praise House journey. With Charmaine,
You've heard they've shared a Pentecostal upbringing, and they're both visual artists. And for me, the shared love of African American art history, grant writing, and support for our artists is what he brought. We are all standing on hallowed grounds as we carry forward traditions and ancestors with us. While today's program may be the culminating public event for Indigo Prayers, it is a coming together, a ring shout of sorts, launching the Praise House Project here at Emory University. On behalf of Associate Dean for the Emory Arts, Dr. Kevin Carnes, and my awesome Emory Arts colleagues, Emma Yarbrough, Nick Serby, Jackie Pritz, Maggie Becker, and Tommy Greenlear, know that this large-scale project could not be done without campus. Thank you, Dr. Carol Henderson, Chief Vice Provost for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and many community partners. We thank you all. But in particular, I want to again thank Charmaine Minniefield and the New Freedom Project, DeKalb County and the CEO office, Michael Thurman and his staff, the City of Atlanta, Mayor Andre Dickens, and the Office of Cultural Affairs. Please, Camille Love, yes, thank you. Flux Project, Ann Dennington, another Emory alum, Culture Centers International, C.D. Moody Construction, where David Moody is CEO, Southview Cemetery, Winnie Watts Hemphill was here, is she still here? A descendant of the Southview Cemetery, Johnny Waits with Flat Rock, and the Atlanta branch of Asala, and of course, our partners, Glenn Memorial Church. And this list of partners could go on, and it will still continue. So please forgive me if I've omitted anyone. But each of you can keep up with the Praise House Project by visiting arts.emory.edu/initiatives, and then click on Praise House Project. We'd love for you to sign up for our email club and stay abreast, because this is going to be quite a journey, and you've started on it with us, so we want you to continue. At this point, I'd like to bring up our panelists and introduce them. First today, Dr. Julie B. Johnson is an assistant professor and chair at the Department of Dance Performance and Choreography at Spelman College. She is co-founder, consulting editor of The Dance Citizen, and founder, artistic director of Moving Our Stories. Julie earned her PhD in dance studies from Temple University's Boyer College of Music and Dance. Through her creative practice, Moving Our Stories, Johnson uses participatory dance and embodied memory mapping to amplify the histories, lived experiences, and bodily acknowledgments of Black women as we struggle towards collective liberation for all. Johnson is a 2020-2023 Partner for Change artist, which is made possible by Alternate Roots and the Sedurna Foundation. Professor Tamara Williams, who you saw perform, is an associate professor at UNC Charlotte and earned her MFA from Hollins University. Her choreography has been presented internationally in Serbia, Switzerland, Germany, Trinidad, Jamaica, Mexico, and Brazil. Moving Spirits Incorporated is Williams' contemporary artist organization dedicated to performing, researching, documenting, and producing African diaspora arts. Williams' scholarly work includes Giving Life to Movement, the Sylvester dance technique, Reviving Culture Through the Ring Shout, published by Dance Citizen, Dance, a Catalyst for Spiritual Transcendence, a book chapter in Fire Under My Feet, Orisha, and Orisha, Dance of the African Diaspora, published in the Caribbean in Transit Journal, and a forthcoming book titled The African Diaspora and Civic Responsibility. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Dr. Julie B. Johnson and Professor Tamara Williams.
But we're gonna try. I think this is gonna help in our recording. So let's see. Let's try it. Over the ear-ish. Think. Janet Jackson. Where's Bennett? Thank you, Harry. They look so nice on the chair. We thought they would just make sense. Here we go. Thank you. Ooh, that sounds much better. So yes. Thank you, Harry.
Good? Okay. Okay. And can you all still hear me with my mask on? Is that, am I okay? Okay.
Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome.
No? They can't hear me at all. Okay, all right. Let me try this, okay.
Healing energy.
How's this? Is that better?
It's much better.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I don't have a voice that projects, so I need this. I need this. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It is such an honor to be part of this conversation with these amazing women. I am so excited to be able to step into the role of moderator today. So I first want to ask a quick question of the audience. I can imagine that we have folks here who are very familiar with the ring shout. But what I would like to know is, if this is your first introduction to the ring shout, go ahead and clap your hands, let us know.
Good, good.
Excellent. This lets us know where our entry point to the conversation should be. So I'm so excited that we're doing this. So I'm going to jump in with a question for both of you. Charmaine, you started to let us know a little bit about your personal connection to the ring shout, your lived experiences. So if you could each maybe expand on that a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah.
So I'm going to describe it too, so folks can sort of understand or have a visual in your mind of what we're discussing. But there's amazing performance, of course, to follow of the actual ring shout. Yeah. It's a full-bodied rhythmic prayer. We'd stand in circle and move and call and response, and sing and call and response. And I was introduced to the shout by my great-grandmother, who built the first Pentecostal church in our hometown. I'd like to say, my mother said, I'm not sure if that, well, I say it. Yes, my grandfather was a Mason, and he literally physically built it. My grandmother was the treasurer of the church. And we go to that church still, right, Mom? Mm-hmm. Anyway, and in that space in the Midwest, we were still being caught by the Holy Ghost, right? Mm-hmm. And I, in my creative practice, started to map the origins of that. I went to the Gambia searching for the Holy Ghost, y'all. That's what I was looking for. That's really sort of my point of entry with it. And as I began to explore it in my own identity and use it as a central theme to replace oppressive systems, maybe that would play out in community, upholding the principles that it actually houses, I felt like I was onto something. and projects and spaces and communities that I was in was responding to my normalizing those ancestral ideals. And so that was sort of a point where I was channeling prayer and realized the Praise House Project.
Yes. I'll dive in from there. So my grandmother is 95. Yes, bless her heart. She is really kind of my source of information. Talk to your elders while they're still here, please.
Yes, talk
It's so
to your
important.
elders, oral histories.
My grandmother used to go to Spring Grove Baptist Church, which was also her grandmother's church. And I remember being around 3 or 4, we would go down after service into the communion area, and I would remember them dancing in a circle, right? So fast forward later, I said, Grandma, do you remember when y'all would like dance the ring shout? And she was like, the what? And I was like, ring shout. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I described it to her, and she was like, oh yeah, after service. And I was like, yeah, ring shout. And she's like, I don't know what that is. I know what my praise and worship is though, right? And so for me, that was my entry into this practice of the ring shout, which today she still is like, it's praise and worship, you know, because that's what it is, right? I will say that, you know, when you're a child, you have all of these experiences, and it's not till you're older, it kind of starts to make sense and you put things together. I remember the McIntosh County Shouters came to Augusta, Georgia, or maybe it was Valdosta in the early 90s to my school. And I remember seeing them perform on stage, and I was just in awe. And I couldn't, you're so young, you don't remember names, you don't know who they were, but I had this experience that really stuck with me and touched my life. So I just want to say thank you for the legacy and maintaining it. It's really, really important. And continuing that work. I could keep going, so I'll stop.
I know,
Okay.
we're probably gonna bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
Thank you both for that. Charmaine, this is for you. In your installation here at the Carlos Museum, Indigo Prayers, you lift up 7 principles, and I think in no particular order they are, you started to name some of them earlier: sovereignty, abundance, wisdom, peace, love, freedom, and the eternal. And I know that we could talk and unpack each of those for days, weeks, months. So I invite you in this moment to maybe choose just one and share with us some insights about that particular principle, how it's speaking to you, how it's showing up in your work.
I choose abundance. Right? I think abundance for me speaks to the social justice element, where I'd like to see equity and justice play out in community. I'd like to address issues of erasure in spaces of, historic preservation, public planning, institution building and supporting. I'd like to see all of that affect change both here and abroad. I'd like for the world to acknowledge the abundance that is Africa and the intellectual property that has come out of the continent and through our identities forward. I tell the story of denim jeans.
Yes.
That's heavy cotton, dyed in indigo. Where we from, that's called mud cloth, right? Where are we in that legacy? I asked that question, indigo. Abundance is what I claim.
Thank you for that. Because systems of oppression tell us that there isn't enough, or that those things don't exist, or that we're not in those
Erasure.
in those histories.
Those
Yes.
are all forces of erasure and oppression. And so each prayer of the exhibition speaks against that erasure. And it was intentional as I formed them. I thought, what do I not want to have? At the same time, what do I want? And I recognized that those were the prayers that were instilled in me from my grandmother, sitting at her dining room table, and you think about what would she want for me?
Yes.
And those prayers. abundance.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Tamara, in addition to your connection to the ring shout through your family heritage, even though they might not call it the ring shout, you have also done extensive ethnographic research studying the history and traditions of the ring shout with communities, Gullah Geechee communities who are working to preserve these histories and traditions every day, keeping them very much alive. And you have reconstructed historical ring shout movement in your contemporary dance practice, which we got to see some of that today. And it's, my skin is still tingling from the energy, as well as from Malicia's amazing songs. Sorry, I just had to lift that up. With that in mind, can you share with us a little bit about how you navigate this idea of history and the past and memory with the present, and how that might implicate next steps for the future?
Yes. So I teach at a university, and of course, you know, I tell them I'm teaching ring shout. Oh, well, why are you teaching that? You could teach modern dance or something. No, these students need to know this history. They need to know this legacy. And so I approach ring shout as an ancestral dance. There are ancestral memories, and my students know that, right? It's a way for those who may not have linkage to this great, rich culture and memory to understand, to have an entry point of understanding what are these gestures and movements, what do they symbolize, what do they represent, what memories do they hold, right? That's one. And then also for those who are part of this, but it's been erased from their memories, from their lives, from their families, then they have something of strength to hold on to and share, right? And so that is something that I share at the university and throughout community. In addition to that, I go back even further and say, our history did not start here as enslaved people. We are people that come from rich histories and memories and families and dynasties before, right? And so we talk about that and those people, the Angola people. We talk about the Yoruba people, the Fon people, the Ewe people, and all of those different nations, Fulani, that contributed to these roots of culture that we have here in the United States that are profited off of, and none of those people see the profits of, right? Not even African Americans see the profits of, right? And so that is the work that I'm sharing, the history, the legacy, and hopefully those who learn or in those spaces take that information to the future and share it in this way so that they do understand. Sometimes we have things taken from us because we don't know it belonged to us in the first place, right? And so once you know what came from your ancestors and your people, and you have something rooted that you can cherish, then you keep it as sacred. So that's
that to the beginning of time.
Oh yes.
And how the Middle Passage interrupted that in most cases for all of us, and to be able to tap into that highway of power. You know, ashe of memory, all the way back to the beginning of time, you know, and not have that broken or severed because of the Middle Passage.
Absolutely.
Reclaim those spaces.
Reclaiming.
Thank you. And that kind of leads into the next question. One of the things that connects the three of us is our commitment to memory and the body and our work around arts activism. Tamara, you mentioned the memories that gestures hold when you're teaching your students. Can you maybe give us an example of, you know, the importance of talking about specifically about the body, and is there a gesture that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, as simple as you can do picking or they rocking the baby. All of these things are gestures, and gestures are very specific because they tell a story. Right? They tell a story. And usually with African diaspora or African cultures, there's song, there are rhythms, right, that are all a part and they're not separate. So the gesture alone is in everything. The song, the rhythm, the connection to the earth and the ancestors that are below. The gathering, right? This circle of energy, it's all a part of it, right? And so gesture is one part, right? Gestures are part of our daily movement. And it's just a matter of really just calling it out and highlighting that so that people understand the strength that they hold.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
And Charmaine, I mean, when I look at all of the pieces in Indigo Prayers, I feel the movement in the body. Can you talk a little bit about
The exhibition in that way.
or any part of your work
yeah.
in relation to body and memory?
Yes. So I lost a family member very early on in the pandemic, a young niece, 17 years old. She was one of the first young people. She made national news because it was during the time when they were thinking the COVID was just for elders, you know. And when I began to mourn her, I began to shout, like in prayer, in wailing, in hopefulness, in what do we do here forward? Where do we go from here? And I asked my grandmother in my prayers, what would we do during the worst of times? And her memories came back to me that we are praying people. We would pray. And that's where all this sort of came from. I began to move in prayer and welcome them into my body, the memories of my ancestors as medicine within that held me safely, at least during that time, and gave me a sense of grounding while the world was raging around us. You know, when I painted, first of all, I painted in indigo as an ode to them. Everything about the execution was to invoke them, to recall their memories. The white oyster shells, Gullah Geechee corridor, architecture. I found that in the construction industry spaces in the Gambia, trade skills and customs, and you know, recalling their memories in every element of its execution, then installing it in a way as if you walked into the front door of the praise house and the ring shot was happening, and they're 8 feet tall, and you have to do this as you walk through the room in order to see them, so your body is moving, and by doing so, inviting memory in. And it's something that I want to share with others, you know, harnessing those memories and that experience. And I'm embodying in this work, the Praise House Project. And I'm hoping that that will lead to so much more. Julie and I have so many plans. All of my collaborators, let me tell you.
Yeah.
We have, I'll give a little snapshot. We're hoping to do a dance intensive to pass on the ring shout to the next generation.
Yeah.
We must. Opal Moore wrote an amazing essay in response to the Praise House and is curating an anthology of more essays contributed by authors from around the country as a catalog for the project. Malicia Jesse Taylor, oh my goodness. We're just christening this building. We're just launching in this lovely space because I've always admired the acoustics in here. I was in the choir, y'all. So we want to do more here on Emory's campus and out in community, and through our partnerships in sacred spaces. My technology, we want to advance. We want it to be interactive. We want you all to do something with your technology to make it move or something. You know, text me the name of your ancestor. And somehow it populates a response to the project that you can visibly see. We're talking to innovation labs in the city, Fulton County, Georgia State, Georgia Tech. We would like to advance the technology. We'd like to see the exhibition tour. Me and Andy. We wanted to go to another institution and space. And I mentioned the Green Book of Praise Houses. All of that comes through those prayers.
So I'm so excited. You know, just tell me where to go. Where do you want me to be? I'll be there. But it brings us to our last question, and I think are we
Yes.
inviting
Griffin.
Mr. Griffin Watson to join us?
Griffin. So it does. Look at me how it does, I guess.
Upside down.
I think we got to do something here. Come on, Harry, come back. Let me see.
I think it's
wanna
just
let
upside
Harry-
down.
Yes, Harry. I don't want to break it.
And Charmaine, do you want to give a brief introduction? to-
Yes.
Yeah.
Griffin Watson and I have known each other now for a couple of years. When I was with the National Black Arts Festival, had the pleasure of bringing the Shouters to Atlanta many, many years ago. And he and I reconnected again recently, and we've been basically touring the country, that's you and I.
Yeah.
Griffin came up to the Apollo with me recently. And then we served on a panel at Penn Center. But seventh generation shouter.
Yes.
Griffin Watson.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So this last question is for you and for the whole panel. Talking about all the ways that we want to continue to do the work that we do, we often get questions from the community, how can I get involved? What role can the broader community play in the work that you do with the Shouters, the Gullah Geechee Shouters, and the work that you're doing, Charmaine and Tamara? So how can people get involved?
Wow. I didn't know it was going to happen this way. I was going to do it later, but this prompts us to answer the question. It's what Charmaine and myself and the Geechee Gullah Ring Shouters have done. We partner to push this culture to another generation. This audience, you might find it interesting that this culture of what we call Gullah Geechee and the Ring Shout has reached a plateau that it was endangered.
Yes.
I like to use it, they call it the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Commission, but heritage area, but everybody knows of the Niagara Falls where people come from around the world. It's the same heritage area, but if you go around the world, most people don't know about Gullah Geechee, Praise House,
Penn Center.
Penn Center, they don't know. So
Our stories.
Yeah, so we partner to reach a greater world. And I look here today, and I believe it's a Pastor Avery Williams. Are you here?
Yes.
Possibly, wave your hand. Oh my, okay.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
where? Okay, first time, another friend of ours from Sapelo Island, where the Gullah Geechees are, told me you was gonna be here. Tifa, I don't know whether he is in here somewhere. I don't see a Tifa, but he's supposed to be here. Where's a Tifa? I'm looking. Wave your hand. He's here somewhere. Anyway, he's working with us, a very prominent foundation individual. We also have a Ronald DeVillis is here, a third generation Gullah Geechee. He's back here somewhere from Columbus, Georgia. We also have Felicia and Sandria. They are Gullah Geechees, young enough to be my children.
Yay. Keeping the culture.
Don't tell anybody, but when Charmaine was born, I was graduated from high school, so she might be my daughter. I have to see your mother on that one, okay?
There she is.
Okay, that's your mother. We'll talk after the program, okay? But on a very serious note, what we need to do, and we want them. So a lot of time people come to us being that we are a seventh generation, and you'll hear more about us later. We perform for people like the Polk. We have worked with Hollywood. Then people like those flattering things. They say, wow, I want to get involved. Then they die off. But we love those like the ones that showed up sitting in the audience now that's carrying on because we're not going to be here after a while. So we do need you to take it to the greater world. I'll say one and stop there. There was a group that wanted us to be in their festival. I won't mention the name. And we didn't know why. They canceled us. But the group believe in our culture. When they come up, I can say it now, every person in this group over here is 100% pure blood Gullah Geechee with the ring shout.
Yeah.
One has been shouting for over 60 years. So I'll stop here is that they canceled us. We did not know why. We went to their festival. We couldn't perform, but we praised them. Then we got a phone call. We want to do a contract this week. And I said, well, what's the situation? We got people all the way from China going to be at our festival, and guess what they wanted to see? The ring shout. So as you can see, we're trying to push it around the world. So we'll be at their festival this year, okay?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to say the answer really quickly after.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
so
so
that
we
was
can transition.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just going to add, just as a culture in general, I'm going to go this way because as an advocate, I have to say this. When you see people celebrating their culture in the parks or in this place or that, don't call the police on us. This is real. I'm talking about this because this is real.
Yes.
Real is
Yes.
right. It's not a noise disturbance. It's us celebrating life.
Yes.
It's celebrating our ancestors. It's celebrating all of these things. And when we have these issues of gentrification,
Yes. And
that
we
is
sit on our
happening-
stoops. We sit on our
Yes.
stoops.
We sit on our stoops. We sit on our front porches, and we
take up
gather.
space.
Right? And when we are together in space like this, is also community. Right? We want to be together. We're not doing harm. We're actually uplifting each other. So in that sense of community, join us. Or don't call the police on us. Or don't make, noise ordinances. And I'm saying that as a real place. If we're, asking for money or grants and things of that nature, support as much as you possibly can, because that helps us to keep the work going. I just want to say that because, yes, there are all of these things that community can do, but there are some things that are also being done that is also taking away from the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to say that, too.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. That's why it's resistance.
Absolutely.
Remembrance as resistance. And someone asked me, resistance against what? I said erasure.
Exactly.
Erasure. So on that note, I think that I'd like to introduce the Gullah Geechee ring shouters. Yes, washboard.
I need
Yes.
Jack. I just need Jack right now. Come on, Jack.
Woo.
Need to
All right,
bring-
y'all. I'm about to
bring your
start
board
shouting.
out,
I'm about to
okay?
shout already.
Go
Let's
ahead.
shout. Woo. No. I want to make sure. Is this okay? I think we might
Sure.
need to take this up. Is that going to be okay?
No, that'll be
Is that
fine. Yes.
It's
We need to bring
slippery
the
out here.
equipment up.
I
Your
think they're
board.
going to pull the chairs back a
You
little
ready
bit.
for us now? I can talk till they get
You
ready.
can talk as they come
All
up.
right. As they get ready, we're going to get some individuals to move back. We only have a few props, and these are the same props we use no matter where we go. People would ask, what all you need? We said we bring all of our props with us. We just require a mic or two because what we're going to do now is transform. I'm going to take this off. Don't get excited, ladies. I'm not going to take it all off, but okay, we're in the chapel. Okay. We're going to take some of this off right now, and we're going to take you way back. We're going to take you way back. I enjoyed everything so far. As we do our normal ritual, we're going to take you back to the plantation now. When you talk about the ring shout and how it all came about, we're going to take you way back to a different time in a different place. When Hollywood hired us in the new movie Roots 2016, any of you remember some of that? Okay. They wanted the ring shout. And here we are, had an opportunity to do something great that would go around the world And we told that director that if you really want the ring shout, there's some things you're going to have, and you're going to have to need. And you might want to call somebody else, because we only can do this if you follow our traditions. Now, that was some bold statements for me to make on a phone call, because this was Philip Noyce. He had directed Angela Jolie in Salt. He also directed great Denzel Washington, which is the same age I am, and with another movie. And now they want us to teach them something to put for the world. And I thought he would say no. And he said, that's why we're calling you all. So you're going to learn what we taught Hollywood. You're going to learn about our culture. Some going to make you laugh. Some going to make you say, I need to know more about that afterward. Some might even make you cry. A group we're going to start off with this one, because at first the world didn't want to give us credit. So we're going to do this song. 1 billion people know this song all over the world, but very few people know where it came from. It came from the Gullah Geechee culture, and it is called Kumbaya. You didn't know that. So we will give you all three versions as you come out, and the last one is the one that's less known, but it's the original one that was recorded in 1926. Are you ready? It goes a little bit like this. You know the first one. Kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya. Kumbaya, kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya. Oh, Lord, kumbaya. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Came from the hymn books. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Oh, Lord. Come by here. From the plantation. Come by ya, my Lord. Come by ya. The word ya. Come by ya, my Lord. Come by ya. Come by ya. Come by ya, my Lord. Come by ya. Oh, Lord. Come by ya.
Amazing grace. We are the Geechee Gullah ring shouters. We are embracing, preserving, and trying to protect our precious heritage. We have a heritage of courage, hope, love, faith, and determination. We have always been led by divine inspiration. We sing Amazing Grace as our theme song. Some of you scholars may know a man by the name of John Newton. He was a wretch undone. John Newton was the captain of a slave ship that had made many trips to Mother Africa. One night, off the coast of Sierra Leone, John's ship came upon a mighty tempest of the sea. And try as he might, John could not control his ship. Well, he began to try to steady the ship. Nothing happened. The lightning was flashing, y'all. Thunder was rolling. And the waves were beating against that ship. And then John thought about an unseen person his mama used to talk about. She had called that person God. So John said, God, save us. You see, in the bottom of that ship was precious cargo. Some of your ancestors, maybe some of my ancestors. Well, we get happy when we think about John Newton, the wretch undone. When he talked to God, it seems like the thunder ceased to roar. It seems like the lightning stopped flashing. And then John was able to bring his ships to the New World. Well, I don't know, but we are off the coast of Sierra Leone, y'all. It could have been a hurricane that passed over. But nobody told John. John made a few more trips back to Mother Africa, bringing back that precious cargo. Then John got an attack of conscience, began to realize what he was doing was wrong. So John decided to study the word. And John began to preach the word. And then John said, I want to become ordained. Took him 3 times. Once for the Father, once for the Son, once for the Holy Ghost. Listen, on the 3rd time, John was ordained. He became a Baptist minister. Now here it is, New Year's Eve. Somebody said, get John Newton, let him preach the sermon. The only thing John could think about was the grace of God. So then John wrote the words, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. And he preached it, and he preached it, and he preached it. Somebody said, John, this word has got to remain forever. So they put music to the words of the sermon. You see, it was a sermon. That's what Amazing Grace was. But because of a wretch undone like John Newton, we sing one of the most beautiful songs. We sing it at funerals. We sing it at weddings. We sing Amazing Grace. That is why the Geechee Gullah Ringshires has adopted that song. Because don't you know, if the grace of God could save a wretch like John Newton, the grace of God could save all of us. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God.
How are you doing out there?
You mean to tell me unless you're messing with my already? Okay, Carnival be out there. How are you doing out there? All right. Now we can speak correct English, but that ain't what we doing up in here today. No, we gonna speak just like what our name says here. Geechee Gullah Ring Shop. Us going to church on Sunday morning, and us come out and look at one another. This here what we say, yeah. How about that religion? We've gotten so what now? Y'all remembers that word? Remember. Say, how's about that religion? Say, oh honey, it's so sweet. We don't say them like that. We say, how about that religion? How about that religion? How about that religion?
Can you tell them?
Can you tell them?
I'll tell them.
Okay.
And you said tell them, I'll tell them.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah.
I'm going to break in. This is unprompted because I love it being a special place of education. We've been doing this for 10 years plus. Now, we've been doing this longer than 10 years, but there's one piece you're about to see. There's one piece you're about to see. Somebody recorded us in South Carolina, not too far from a praise house, believe it or not. And we were happy to say, if we can ever get 25,000 hits, we would be happy, you know, on Facebook. Not only did we get 25,000 hits, we went up to 50,000 hits. Well, let's just go a little bit higher. 100,000 went to 1 million. Now we're at 3 million hits on this. You guys at Emory University are going to catch on to this phenomenon. We don't know what we did for people to do it. We've been doing the same thing, but it got caught on. So that's where it answered the question where other people can get involved. And they took it to 3 million. We didn't. Shh, listen up. Listen up.
Go on, young man. Tell them something else.
As we travel,
Yes.
education is what we try to do.
Yes.
And you know, if you make it a little humorous sometime, folks will remember.
You better say it.
Now, the reason us talk like this is because when we came from Mother Africa,
Yes.
we were placed on different plantations.
Yes.
And us had to learn how to speak.
You had to do it.
We had to learn how to communicate with one another. So we took some words from Massa and us tried to put them together.
Yes.
And I tell you what, after we put his words and our tribal words together, we came up with a language all of our own. Had we maintained our language, we could stay in the grocery line, us do them sometime now, and have a conversation, and no one would know what we are talking about. But when we went to school, we were told that it was bad English. Some people got bothered and this to say Ebonics, but it ain't that. That is our language. Because I remember like yesterday,
I remember like it was yesterday.
when I first had to go to school.
When I first went to school.
Yo, I go, what I done night for?
This is what I did the night before.
I go in yonder to the shift room,
I went to the dresser.
and I get my frock,
I got my dress.
and I brought them out there to the front room,
I brought it to the living room.
and I laid them on the lounge chair.
Laid it on the sofa.
Look here, my brother, he had the britches right there,
His pants.
and his program.
His boots.
And then 4 days,
Before they,
I get up,
I got up.
and I heist the
I
window.
raised the window.
You know what I done then? I walked out on the piazza.
You walked out on the porch.
Yeah, and I see my great-grandma. I said, how wonderful be?
How you doing?
They said, my joint to hurt
My
me.
joints hurting.
They were wonderful go.
Where are you going?
I said, going to the schoolhouse.
Yes.
So I left the kiff.
You left the house.
Yeah, I walk out in the yard.
The yard.
I said, hey, no care.
We didn't have a car.
And I seen this shit could have been creeping across the yard.
Turtle crawling across the yard.
And I going down yonder to the schoolhouse, seen two women.
Women.
One been stout and one been narrow.
One was fat and one was a little skinny.
And they have air balls.
Earrings.
And you know what? All the children been in one room.
All the children in one classroom.
The scamp, the scoundrel.
The little bad boy and the big one.
And then I seen this plump little gal.
Fat
Had a
girl.
hand on the kin bone.
Fat.
And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? Us is going back to the kids.
Going back to the house.
I went on back there. Now, they said giant.
Joint.
They said pint.
Point.
They said giant.
Joint.
What happened?
They all went to play basketball.
They did that. Oh, yeah.
Didn't
I
have
said
time.
cat.
Car.
I said lad. I
Large.
said yad.
Yard.
What happened?
The R took the leg and ran.
See, that's humorous, but there was a method. Yeah, see, y'all gonna remember this now. Because see, there's a method to the madness.
Yes.
To the madness. If A came before R, what happened?
You didn't have time to pronounce it.
We didn't pronounce it. That's why I said cats to the car. And then if O come before I, you didn't pronounce the O. No, it been giant instead of point. See, and they thought it was bad English.
Yeah.
But it's just that some words,
Our
some
language.
letters, we didn't pronounce.
Yes.
It wasn't bad English. Now, like I said, education is what we do. And we like to let our young folks know
Yeah.
that it is survival time now.
Yes.
It was survival time when our ancestors were coming.
Uh-huh.
But it is survival time now.
Now.
And we want them to know it is better to be seen
Yes.
than viewed. It is better to be talked to than talked about. But most of all, you got to grow up to grow old.
What you say?
Now, somebody in this audience know what to talk about. I bet Lily in this, she know what I talk about.
Yeah.
We live in the country.
What you say?
And sometimes it is dark as 10 midnights
Yes.
out there where us come from.
Yes.
Now, there is no cell phone tower
No.
kind of close to us.
No, sir.
No service. So, you know our young folks? They like the boom, diddy boom, diddy boom. You know them cats?
They right.
Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Music
But
playing.
every now and then the po-po gonna run up on them.
Police coming.
It's survival time now.
Yes.
And I teach mine this. Grandma say, you got to swallow when you want to spit.
What you say?
When he pull up on you, and we tell him this shit, for true. Look here, ain't nobody got no thing taking no picture of y'all.
No.
And they ain't got them
They ain't
things camera
recording.
that they have on. They ain't got them on. So what y'all got to do is survive. Now he gonna give you a ticket.
You gonna get it.
Yeah, we gonna take him. I
Ask
tell
him
him,
for it.
y'all take the ticket. If he ain't getting you none, don't be sarcastic, ask him for it. Ain't you supposed to give me something? You take that ticket. Now your boy may be running by, he passed, he gonna slow up, but he ain't gonna stop because he's scared. He ain't gonna stop. Your boy passing by. You take the ticket.
Yes.
Now, I don't tell my children to use profanity. I don't tell them to do that.
No.
But this is what I say. When you take that ticket,
Yes.
get in your car like you're fixing to leave, when you see his tail light, or you can see the tail light, way down yonder, get out your car.
Get out.
Cuss his mama out. Cuss his daddy out. You cuss everybody you can think about. Cuss him out. You spitting now. You done swallow. See, and this is truth. You done swallow.
Yeah.
Survival. You spit now. Well, down at the car wash, you know where I saw gathered, them boys on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know where they gathered. Man, I saw the po had you the other night. Yeah, he had you. You see me here now? Yeah, I told his hair a mess. They don't know he didn't hear. I told the po just what I thought about him. Man, you mean to tell me yeah, I told him, but don't you try it.
Yeah.
Don't you, not your face anyway. You got to do it in the back. Yeah,
Police
look.
wasn't even there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look. This is an apron.
Uh-huh.
Y'all know where he is.
Yeah.
But long time ago, my great-great-grandmother, God rest her soul, had 3 frocks. One she wore to church. That's the best one. The other one they wear around the house in the kitchen. And the second one they wear to the doctor if you get a chance to go.
Yes.
And to the grocery store.
That's right.
And that church frock never touched the kitchen.
No.
Only that frock, use it when you're walking out the door.
Yeah.
Going to church and coming back. Now, this is a head scarf now.
Yeah.
Because we're modern.
Used to be a
It's
rag.
you know what it is?
Yeah.
It's a head rag. Don't let nobody tell you it's a head scarf.
a rag.
It's a rag. Well, now listen. Them gals, they got it. I know what I'm supposed to do, so I ain't gonna say nothing about
You better
mine.
say it.
But you see, if that knot is tied right here,
To the right.
to the right. Yeah, to the right. They have to help us sometimes. But if it's tied to the right, lots of been to Africa 2-3 times. If it's tied to the right, then that means that the lady is married. Now, to catch that thing tied to the left, that means she's single or she's a widow. Now, this year ain't in Africa. This year ain't in Atlanta.
Just right in.
This year is in Gala Geechee Lane.
Right in.
If you see that rag tied
right
like this in the middle,
Yeah.
what y'all do?
We looking.
Our Maya Angelou.
Things done gone get funny around here. It done going to get funny around here. You know, one time we was using the bathroom outdoors, and now we use them in the house. A girlfriend of mine, now she cooking outdoors. Using the bathroom in the house. They done mess up some things here. Yeah, but you know, that thing inside the wall now, you know, it make them have a cold. The thermostat. You said, wait. Thermostat. Got it. I got it. But anyway, you're going to make them hot or make them cold. Whatever, however you want to make them. You make them the right temperature you want. Well, you know one thing, and that means the time thing done changed around here. Well, I got a little boy in my house there. Little fella there in the house where I raising. I ain't birth him. It be 12 young in a day or two, but I ain't birth him. But he mine. He mine. The judge say mine. But anyway, we all do the show. On Sunday when church out, we always go and try to explain what the pastor was trying to say. You know, the pastor was trying to say. No, the pastor said what he said. But you just ain't understand it like that. Oh, you know, we want to dress him up a little bit. Well, we was talking about the pastor like everybody else. And I said something about the pastor, and that little fella going back and tell the pastor what I said. And the pastor called me. He said, Sister Jan. I said, yes, sir. He said, you said that's and so. I said, no, sir, I ain't saying that. No. I had to tell another story to fit that story to keep a mess. I ain't really lied, but I had to shape him up a little bit. Well, you know what? They're building a whole bunch of churches. I saw it. I on my same street where my church at. Plenty church built, 5 church down there. And I going to park at my church the other day, and guess what? I couldn't park it. I couldn't park. Somebody else been to my church park in my space. So you know what? I got mad. I did. I was angry. I was mad. I said, they done park up in my space. But then something had come to me and said, now, you know, you got to have a better idea about the situation here. That's a big word, situation, yeah.
Situation.
So he said, you got to do better about this thing here now. Think if 5 people get saved in all them churches, in 5 churches, that's 25 saved people in it. So, you know what? But guess who the pastor is? My own son. I see the sign. 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 Sign in the air. Sign everywhere.
At this point here, we're going to slow it down a little bit and give more of the educational part of what we do. And there's one song that was sung on the plantation during the day, and like I said, the Charmaine was saying, and they had their secret places they would go. This is before we had the emancipation, before we were free. And this is some of the songs that we sung at that time, and even after those days. They call it a work song. And we're going to give you just a little bit of that work song, if you don't mind. And what this is, it's a time when they're working to make the time go by. They would sing these songs. So, Captain Jack, Ms. Joanne, tell them a little bit more about that work song that we prepared.
Well, you see what happened with the work song. There was these young boys. They didn't want to learn about the Bible.
They ain't want to do nothing.
And you see, they would take the young boys with them because they lay cross ties.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And pie. So they take the young boys because they're strong.
Yeah.
And the older ones, they would sing a little song. And tucked in that song is something about the Bible.
Scripture, yes.
A scripture or something. They learn the scripture, and they also have a word.
All right.
Got my letter.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Got my letter.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Got my letter.
Oh, yeah.
The people keep coming and the train done gone. John was a writer.
Oh, yeah.
John was a writer.
Oh, yeah.
John was a writer.
Oh, yeah. The people keep coming and the train done gone.
Book of Revelation.
Oh, yeah.
Book of Revelation.
Oh, yeah.
Book of Revelation.
Oh, yeah. The people keep coming and the train done gone.
This sound here is perhaps Joanne Waltower Ross. The reason why her name is Joanne Waltower Ross, I won't tell you who it is, but this person, the Waltower, was their plantation name. You would think they would get rid of it, But the Wall Tower family is alive and well now. They're African Americans and they're slave masters, what we call them buckras. They keep that name. Now, I won't tell you who it is, but in a little bit, if you see somebody that has a washboard, that is Joanne Waltower Ross from the Waltower Plantation in the state of Georgia. Now, this sound coming up ain't got nothing to do, if I can speak a little Geechee here, with the Praise House. So forgive us, Charmaine, we're giving real history from the plantation. So pray for us and forgive us. This one is the what, Miss Joanne? You tell them the rest of the story. Yeah. I don't want to tell them because we're in a sanctuary, but I'll let you tell them. She don't lie. She just tells stories. Okay.
You see, it's like this here. When something dead on the road, the old turkey buzzard, he swooped down, tears the eye. Well, if something wrong with him, ain't none of them gonna get none of them. All of them just flying on off. But you know one thing, another moral to the story is long time ago, they didn't have decent casket like they got now. You know, nice casket with the writing the Lord's Prayer and all that up in them. You know, they're gonna send you to heaven now. They're gonna send you to heaven now. You know, they didn't have that. They would make a rough box, and they made a rough box. And I think Lily, you probably know Mr. Jim McClure. Used to live out on. Yeah, well, I can call him dead. He's dead. Yeah, Lily know him. Yeah. But anyway, he told us, he said, well, they'd make a casket for the darn man, yeah. And he been year tall. He never knew how tall he been, but he been year tall. Saying that, but they try to put him in the box, and leg full, hang over the side of him. Say, Mr. Jim said, I tell you what you do. Just saw it down leg, go chuck up in the casket. He ain't gonna use them no more anyhow. So, but we looked around, we saw the whites were burying their dead, kind of elaborate, more so than us. And they just say, well, we might as well throw us anywhere in that old field. Throw me anywhere in that old field. Throw me anywhere. Throw me, throw me. Throw me, throw me.
Juke joints and places like that.
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Now we're going to give it just a little bit more of the history, part of the Gullah Geechee culture and the ring shout. We have our off time. That's where you see we have a lot of storytelling.
Yes.
So it brings laughter. But then there comes the serious side. We have Emory University, which is famous for medicine.
Oh,
So we did not have hospitals like this,
No.
and we did not have the same doctors our slave masters had in the Gullah Geechee culture back in the day and on the slave plantation. But we did have our own herbs and medicine.
Yes.
All right. Is Elizabeth still here? She's gone. Charmaine, where's Elizabeth? Can you find her? Okay. She's here, Elizabeth. If she is, we need her in just a little bit. But we're going to tell you some of the things that we use. Just a little bit of time left on this.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to be getting to a very special part, and we'll let you guys go. For the Gullah Geechees, and we still practice it.
Oh, yes.
But before we do that, I want to make sure they feel a little bit better. We have Captain Jack over here that's been shot for over 60 years. He was in the movie.
Yes.
What was that? Thank God, we believe in God, because he was in a movie called Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
And he got hung in that movie.
Yes, yes.
But he's here today, thank God.
Yeah.
Ross was in the same movie, and we just finished a movie production. Who had? We're going to tell you a little bit about that. That was on what? And we're very excited. Charmaine, thank you, Charmaine. We're getting ready. You're high on the hall and stuff like that. We just hit that. Netflix. That was before the pandemic, and they showed it just recently. They had to cut things out. But I want to say that this will be with Smithsonian Institute. We're very excited. On the 1st, we'll be doing a film production with them again on the Fuskies on
September 1st.
That's a few days from now. So let's give them a hand. This is the old usual. I know most of you guys know what this one is. Don't you know what it is? Spanish moss. You see this growing a lot further down. There might be some up here in Atlanta, but down close to the water, there's a lot of Spanish moss. Now, if you go to Jamaica and other places, they have what they call ball moss. And I found out that we have Georgia ball moss, and we also have it in Florida too, in the Carolina area. When it finishes, it's almost like a ball. So we use this like a moss. We use this for high blood pressure. We place it in our shoe, and we put it in there through medical process for whatever reason. It helps do what? Bring the blood pressure down. So we use for a lot of municipal things there. We do have some children in here, but we're going to tell you another one is used for. Very fun, and it gives you a lot of energy. It gives you a lot of energy. Captain Jack uses it sometimes. I don't like to say I use it, but you know, thank God. But anyway, you see, we travel with a lot of lovely ladies. We have to help them out sometimes, okay? Long before it was Viagra, it was Spanish moss. Yeah. There's much more, and we'll leave it there. We love to talk about this plant right here, and I never did get Elizabeth here. So I need to bring somebody else up.
The young lady right here.
I need a volunteer. Right here? Oh, I'm moderating. Oh, but she good.
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell me what this is. Everybody else, shh. All right. Okay. Can we do it one more time?
Yeah, one more time.
All right, then. Calm down. All right. Who selected her, Charmaine? Was that you? Okay. I don't know what pointed her. She did a good job. What's your name again? Julie. Come on, let's give Julie a hand. Julie, this is not marijuana. All right. No, this is what we call life everlasting. And we give that name. Sometimes we leave it as a gift to certain communities and certain projects. And Charmaine, there's no way we can leave here. And I have to say this, in New York City, at a packed audience at the Apollo Theater, every national race you can think of, a full orchestra. It was better than Hollywood. This lady here was main stage talking about the Praise House in Indigo, what she's doing. Come on up, we're going to give you a gift.
Yeah.
Of the life This is the one that we taught Hollywood and the movie Roots, so all of you are going to learn. Some of you I know already know it, especially some of the next generation that's younger than I am from Gullah Geechee culture, they already know it. So this is what we taught them. You're going to learn something. It was Carolina first that banned the drums. So you say, wow, Africa, this traveling, and where's the drums at? There is no drums because they banned the drums. South Carolina first, and you all know who was second. Georgia. So that's why we don't have the drums, no matter where we travel in the world, in Canada and all. Here we go. The beat is the beat. Listen to a special polyrhythmic beat. Watch me, and we're going to copy it, and we're going to teach you some more as we go. Here it is. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Come on, take those hands. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, the stick man. The stick man. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the walker. If you notice, it's all the same beat. If you notice, it's all the same beat. And we say this everywhere we go around the world. Can you believe it? Hollywood paid us to teach them that. Thank you.
I was looking around here, and I see plenty of we. And we all different colors up in here. And Vasha, can you tell the people how come us look like us is?
We look the way we look because we're black.
We what?
We are black.
We what?
So what if I am a black woman? Is it a disease? Well, if it is, I sure hope that it's catching. Because what they need to do with us, they need to pour us in a bottle, label us, and sprinkle us over all of the men and women who ever worked to die, lived to cry for either one of us. So what if I am a black woman? Is it a crime? Well, arrest me, because I am smart, but I'm still learning. And like we said, I like to work, feed, clothe, house, me, mine, and yours, like we've been doing for the past 300 years.
Come on.
So what if I am a black woman? Is it insane?
Yeah.
Well, commit me, because I want truth,
Yeah.
not lies, sunshine,
Yeah.
not rain, pleasure, pain. And as I said earlier, I'm looking for a man and not a child. A black woman. Is it a sin? Well, pray for me and pray for yourself. Because if you don't like women of color,
Come on.
we are midnight brown.
Yeah.
We are chestnut, cocoa dip, big lip, big hip, big breasted, and beautiful. All at the same time.
What you say?
So what if I am a black woman? I've got same rights as you. I've worked for them, died for them, laid for them, and lied for them on every plantation, from Alabama to Boston and back.
Yes.
So, what if I am a black woman? I love me, and I want you to love me too. Because I am, as I've always been,
Always.
near you, close to you,
Yes.
beside you,
Yes.
caring, giving, and sharing. You're a black woman for over 300 years. Love us.
Now, everywhere we go, especially on a Sunday, you know we're going to have a sermon. You're going to have a preacher in the midst. I'm going to give them just about that much of it. Just a little bit of it. Yeah, but I got to preach because today's Sunday. I missed my service this morning. Yeah. But you know, our foreparents couldn't read or write. And in Magic Church, how old your church is, Magic? 200 years, some years old. Yes, sir. And you know one thing, yeah? They had to go sit up in the balcony. And the white preacher would get down there and he would preach his hat out. And we had to learn something. Well, we picked up a word. My ancestors would pick up a word. And today my subject is, I found a shoe. Can y'all help me today? I was walking down the road. And I looked over in the woods. And over there I saw a shoe. And I picked that shoe up. And I looked around. And I couldn't find nobody. Nobody wore that shoe. So I said, shoe, you look like a good shoe. I'm going to take you to my house, and I'm going to take good care of you. Well, I took that shoe to my house, and I laid it up on the shelf. And every now and then, I'd wipe that shoe off. And I said, shoe, you still look like a good shoe. And in my satisfied mind, I began to think about who could have worn that shoe. I said, if Daniel had worn that shoe down in the lion den, everything was all right. Come on and say yes. Come on and say yes. I thought about Shadrach, Meshach, and that bad nigga. I thought about who could have worn that shoe. If they had worn it in the fiery furnace, everything was all right. Come on and say yes. Come on and say yes. Well, I thought about women and men's shoes look just alike. So I said, well, if Vashti. Y'all remember Vashti? Vashti was the king's wife. So when they got full of that new wine, he said, go tell my wife I said, come here. And she said, oh no, I'm not going out there because those men are drinking that strange drink. But you remember, oh Esther, with her fine self, she replaced Vashti. And when the Jews got in trouble, she said, if I perish, let me perish, because I'm going to see the king. Come on and say yes. Come on. Well, if y'all want me to finish that, I will, but it ain't going to be today. I'm going to tell y'all where my touch at. Now, this is very significant to our performances. We were over on St. Simon's at a Rhodes Scholar function, and question was asked, what did your four parents bring with you? Very important question, when they came over. Y'all saw that girl say the poem a while ago? Raise your hand, Master. She said, they ain't bring nothing because it's been an unplanned trip. Quick on the tongue. So our Maya Angelou went back home and she sat down and she began to think in her satisfied mind, what could she write about? And she wrote this poem especially for us.
Tell them that.
You got to say it, Magic. Come on, Magic.
These are people got to be nice to me, because I'm legally blind. So if y'all see me go in the opposite direction,
Yes, sir.
take it for love. But as I sat there and I
Yes.
listened to what Marsha told them, and she got a few chuckles. You know, it's humorous.
Yeah.
It is. They ain't bring nothing. Been an unplanned trip. But I went home. And as I was sitting in my climate, like I'm sitting in this chair now,
Yeah.
in my spiritual mind, between being awake and sleeping, in my spiritual mind, I found myself in glory, y'all.
Yes.
And as I sat, I was sitting in a chair just like this. All the ancestors was around me.
Yes.
Margie, what you doing? You ain't your time yet. I said, well, down on planet Earth,
Yes.
they want to know what did you bring with you when you came from Mother Africa. And one of them looked at me and said, you go back and you tell them this, your Margie.
Go ahead, man.
We didn't bring a thing.
Nothing.
Child, it was an unplanned trip. I said, what? She said, listen, it was a beautiful day in our village. Up in the sky, there was not a cloud showing. Girl, it was a cool breeze blowing. We decided to go down to the seaside. Little did we know we'd soon take an unplanned ride. From out of nowhere, brutal strangers came, Margie. They put shackles on our feet. They put shackles on our hands. We were dehumanized. Never again were we treated like a woman or a man. We were herded like livestock, thrown into the bottom of a dirty, dirty ship on the way to an unknown destination. Girl, I'm telling you, it was an unplanned trip. We crossed the deep blue sea to a foreign shore, a place we did not know, and a place we certainly didn't ask to go. You know what? We worked their fields. We tilled their soil. We cultivated their land. We tried to give them a life of comfort and ease, working untiringly. Margie, they tried to take everything away from us, even our dignity. Yeah, our women too were misused and abused. Everything they were asked to do, they did it. Never once did they refuse. In our hearts, in our minds, we always remain a woman or a man. To this day, some folks still can't understand. You see, Margie, we are a mystery. Other folks look at us and wonder how we can live and still yet be. But it's not who we are, but whose we are. That has determined our destiny. So, Margie, when you go down back to planet Earth, you tell them. We took all they had to give, because you know we had to live. Because in our body, we carried a seed. It was the seed of the coming free. So we even give thanks to a man by the name of Abraham Lincoln. He wrote the decree. He said, some of them didn't get it all the way, but he said on January 1, 1863, we'd all be set free. So that is why we took what they had to give, because we know we had to live in margin. When you go back, tell them, we look back toward our motherland, Mother Africa, and we think about our former years, and we never, never can forget that it was a dirty ship that brought us over here on an unplanned trip. And as I took my descent back down to planet Earth, in my spiritual mind, I could hear them singing a song that had not yet been penned by a lady by the name of Mahalia Jackson. In 1996, I wish our foreparents could have heard this song.
Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world. The trouble of this world. The trouble of this world. Soon I will be done with the trouble of this world. I'm going home to live with God. No more weeping and wailing. There'll be no more weeping and wailing. There'll be no more weeping and wailing. I'm going home to live with my God. Y'all know I got to laugh here now. I was being quite a, but anyway, we're getting ready to close. And we were down in McIntosh County, the area, and we were auditioning for opera. We auditioned.
Yes.
And the scouts came down. They had a young lady with them by the name of Tracy K. Smith.
Yes.
What we didn't know was that at that time, was that she was the poet laureate of the United States at that time. And because of the genuine hospitality, and because of the soulful singing of the song, Wade in the Water, Tracy K. went back to New York. She wrote a book of poems, named the book of the poems, Wade in the Water, and dedicated that book of poems to the little old Geechee Gullah Ring Shiners. So we sing this song, Wade in the Water, and we sing this song in the memory of Harriet Tubman. Now,
Wade in the water, wade in the water to the wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. You wanna wade in the water, oh wade in the water to the wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Oh, if you believe I've been redeemed, God's gonna trouble the water. You won't follow me down to the Jordan stream, God's gonna trouble the water. You know it's down in the water was cold. God's gonna trouble the water. You know it's chilled my blood, but not my soul. God's gonna trouble the water. You are wade in the water. Wade in the water to the wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
see, everybody done wrote books and poems about Harriet Tubman, so we dedicate a praise song to her. Now, December 31st, we still observe that tradition. We go into our various churches. Some people testify,
Yes.
some testify.
Yes.
But we're in there from 10 until daylight. And we're in our various churches. And the reason we're in our churches, we let the young folks know, the reason we're in there, because we were waiting, our foreparents were waiting for January 1 because of that decree that was signed. Now, in the various churches, we sing the song, "Oh Day, Yonder Come Day." Young folks need to know it was called a Freedom Day coming. Now, in the old church, where it would leak outside and rain inside, there was an old deacon, and we had the board windows. He would go and we'd fling that door open and say, "Oh day, yonder come day," because we are thinking and we are singing and we are praying for that one that was left at the plantation.
All day, all day, oh, I see day, oh, I see day, oh, day is a breaking, oh, day is a breaking, oh, day, oh, day.
Stand up, brother.
We can sing I'm free. I'm free. Praise the Lord. I'm no longer bound. Yeah. Yeah. My soul is resting. Soul is resting. Coming to dancing, yeah. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. I am free. Y'all can sing with us. Praise the Lord. I'm no longer bound, yeah. Yeah. My soul is resting. Soul is resting. Hallelujah, yeah. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. I'm free.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For not allowing us to forget. Lest you forget.
You must remember so we never
You must remember.
So there's
All of it. All of it.
Yes.
All of it. Thank you. Can we hear their names? Yes. Let's introduce each shouter. Great idea.
Yes.
Your name?
Marcia Armstrong.
I feel great.
Margie Washington.
Yeah.
She was 92 years old and her God called her home.
Yes.
Tracy Parker. Sister.
Yours truly, Evangelist Joanne Ross, better by Sister Jan.
Let's just get themselves together back there. We'll give you a brick and light. What a gang we had together. Man, you know, a Sunday service. Yeah, we came together and let's stay together.
Yes.
Let's stay together. The exhibition is up until September 11th. Please go see the work. Bring your family, bring your prayer circle. Follow the Praise House Project. That hashtag, Praise House Project. Someone asked the question, what does the word Ashe mean? There were terms that we use today. Ashe is an indigenous term from West Africa that means the same thing Amen means. Amen. You know, so let it be. Ashe. Ashe. The Praise House Project .org is our website, And there's a Praise House Project website, of course, on Emory's homepage and campus site. There's programming that we have vision for academic year 2023. And our plan is to do programming all the way up to the installation of the Praise House here in the fall of 2023. The Praise House will rest next to Glen Memorial Church, right on Claremont. So please tell everyone, other Praise Houses, Southview Cemetery, during Juneteenth of this year, coming, and we're going to be at Flatline. And we are just uplifted. We are uplifted in this work. So continue to support us, follow us, whatever your resources, ideas, connections, network, let's vibrate together in this work. In circle, in circle. Let's continue to remember in spaces where our memories are endangered, potentially to be lost. Let's find those sacred burial grounds and volunteer. Many African American burial grounds used to have a volunteer day every year or every couple of years where everyone would come and work those grounds. Plug in, find that in your community. We have plans for other praise houses in the city. We're looking over there at that Chattahoochee Creek company. We're looking at that burial grounds and other places. I don't know if I can say them all right now. I got a list. So please follow the Praise House Project. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Andy, for believing in the work. There's a service in here right at 4 o'clock, and I would love every one of you to ask a question of this project. Yes?
My name is Montalita.
Yeah.
And I'd like to invite our elders to close the ceremony. May we ask them to come in and close?
Yes.
Will you elders please close the ceremony? We have
In church, we would pray ourselves. A bit of it.
Thank you, oh God, for how you have met us here. Father God, we thank you for the work that's about to be received here. Father God, we ask your God to continue to bless us one by one and name by name. And oh God, as the song of David say, bless our going and bless our coming from this time forth and even forevermore. For Christ's sake we pray. And the church say, amen. Amen.